News on 6 starts now.
First at noon, Tulsa police officer Betty Shelby takes the stand in her own defense. She's charged with manslaughter in the shooting death of Terrence Crutcher. News on 6's Taylor Newcomb is on the scene at the Tulsa County Courthouse with today's new developments. Taylor?
Dave, Officer Betty Shelby took the stand just after 11. Now, I only caught about 30 minutes of that testimony because I had to slip out here and let you guys know what was going on. When I left, they were still discussing her history and all of her certifications. Officer Shelby started her law enforcement career in 2007 at the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office. In 2011, she joined TPD. She talked a lot about why she pursued multiple extra certifications, including becoming a drug recognition expert. Shelby says she did it because she wanted to be better at her job. She addressed the fact that her course instructor told the jury that she had become so upset one day when she received a bad grade on a pop quiz that she yelled, screamed, and stormed out of the classroom. Shelby says she was simply upset because she didn't get anything wrong on the quiz. She had just abbreviated some of the words, which they apparently weren't supposed to do. Right before I stepped out, the defense asked Shelby if she had ever fired her weapon in the past few years she served as a patrol officer for TPD. She said no. She did admit that she had pulled her gun out dozens of times, but she said anytime she did that to assist an arrest, the person always complied. We also heard from 3 officers who interacted with Terrence Crutcher in the past. One did not get to testify before being dismissed because he was giving too much detail. The other 2 say Crutcher resisted arrest and was convicted. Lori Fulbright is in the courtroom right now listening to the rest of Betty Shelby's testimony. She'll have that full story for you tonight at 5 and 6. And of course, follow along with us on the News on 6 app, on Twitter, and on Facebook. We'll bring you as many updates as we possibly can. Reporting live on the scene on the story from the Tulsa County Courthouse, Taylor Newcomb, News on 6.
Taylor, thank you.
Kunzweiler did just talk here a few minutes ago. He said that all he wanted in this case was for the jury to listen to all the facts and just uphold the rule of law. He respected the process that we went through, and he respected the jury. Even Judge Drummond, when we went in to listen to the verdict, said that he had never been around a more engaged jury in all the time that he had been a judge. Steve Kunzweiler said, obviously, this was a difficult case. Everyone realized that, and he knows that the jury worked really hard. They were back there deliberating for, I believe, about 9 hours, and he knows that it was very hard for them to come to the decision that they came to.
News on 6's Taylor Newcomb spent the day at the courthouse. She is live on the story right now with more. Taylor?
Craig and Lori, Stanley Majors' attorney is not denying that he shot and killed Khalid Jabara, but he says his client was struggling with untreated schizophrenia and had delusions that the Jabara family was out to get him because he's gay.
He is charged with shooting and killing his neighbor in August of 2016 in what prosecutors say was a hate crime. News on 6's Taylor Newcomb is on the story to break down today's testimony. Taylor?
Lori, we just finished hearing from the lead homicide detective in this case. Corporal Nathan Schilling testified Stanley Majors was a suspect very early on in this investigation, even before Schilling arrived on scene.
News on 6's Taylor Newcomb is live on that story tonight. Taylor?
Terry, in a sense, Stanley Majors testified against himself in these recordings today. There were 10 in all. They started out tame, but quickly turned aggressive.
I'm not this monster that I get painted out to be.
And next here at 5 o'clock, an exclusive jailhouse interview with a man now facing life in prison for killing another man in a head-on crash.
A jury found Jerry Newman guilty of first-degree murder for the death of William Bruckman. News on 6's Taylor Newcomb is live on the story you'll see only on 6. Taylor?
Craig and Lori, this is a handwritten letter Jerry Newman tells me he wrote to his victim's family. He says he doesn't know if they ever read it, but he wants them to know he is sorry. Jerry Newman says he's sick when he sees this dash cam video and hears details about the innocent life he took. But to this day, Newman feels he should have been charged with manslaughter for the death of 23-year-old William Bruckman.
It's a terrible accident. That's what it is. It's an accident. I still don't think I'm guilty of first-degree murder.
Newman says he'd lost a loved one just 2 days before the incident. He says he turned to drugs to deal with his grief. He says he doesn't remember much, comparing his brain to a strobe light of memories.
It's actually a weird feeling when you're seeing yourself do something that you can't remember.
But he says he's thinking much differently now, knowing he's facing a life sentence.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, I'd come up for parole at around 63 years old.
And that's only if the judge runs his sentences all at once. But there's a chance Newman could die in prison.
None of it's worth it. None of it's worth it. I don't think $1 million worth a day of my freedom anymore.
Newman says he plans to appeal his conviction, but regardless of how that turns out, he's searching for a bigger purpose.
If I can just change one person's life while I'm in there, I think I've done something right.
William was an amazing man.
The victim's wife said after trial, all she wanted to see from Newman is some type of remorse. Newman says he spent countless hours in jail, even writing this letter, thinking about the day that changed his life and hers.
I mean, if I could give my life for him, I would.
Newman will find out on October 15th if the judge will run his sentences all at the same time or back to back. Reporting live on the scene on the story at the Tulsa County Jail, Taylor Newcomb, News on 6.